Good morning, welcome. I'm Claudia Romo Edelman, and it is a pleasure to have you here again today. Every day, like every day at 11 a.m. EST, we have an incredible opportunity to talk for 20 minutes with an expert, with someone that will help in these times to illuminate, educate, and enlighten our Hispanic leaders so that we can use this time wisely and start connecting not only to what we're doing, but also understanding what everybody's doing. This is part of the Hispanic Response and Recovery Plan. This is a collective effort for a number of people under the Hispanic Star umbrella so that we can stop, protect, and mitigate the impact of COVID-19 in our community. This morning, I have the incredible pleasure to welcome one of the first people that I met when I started getting involved in Hispanic affairs. His name is David Chitel. David Chitel is the founder and the CEO of NGL Collective, New Generation Latinos Collective. You started this organization a number of years ago. You started actually working on, on a number of pieces. I know for a fact, David Chitel, that you are, you're part of this universe of creating and understanding how Hispanics were going to be a great and important cohort decades ago. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you started NGL and how are you doing. But in these challenging times and in these COVID times, like everyone else, as a Latino leader, you pivoted completely what NGL was and is doing to do more. Right now, you launched recently Unidos Together as a hashtag. I'm pivoting again on how do we actually cope and connect in these times. David Chitel, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Claudia.
Absolutely. David, tell us a little bit more about NGL to start with and about yourself, and then how are you using this power through Unidos Together?
Sure. So thank you for having me, Claudia. Good to see everybody, so to speak. David Chitel, CEO of NGL Collective. Been working in this industry for about 25 years. NGL is an organization, first and foremost, that I started almost 20 years ago, meant to advocate for the new generation Latino audience, where we did conferences, research studies, TED Talks, and all of the above. And later that evolved into my current company, NGL Collective, which is a media, marketing, and entertainment company that I co-founded with my business partner, some of you may know, John Leguizamo. We have several divisions of NGL Collective: NGL Media, which is a leader on ComScore. We have NGL Studios, that I'm going to talk a little bit more about, NGL Social, NGL Live, as well as a new division we have called NGL Insights. So we offer a full spectrum for the advertiser community looking to connect not only with new generation Latinos, but with the Latino community at large.
And so these, you also acquired not so long ago an organization, an umbrella called Hispanicize. And through Hispanicize, you now again, tell us a little bit about the acquisition, Hispanicize. What does it have? What are the pieces that are entailing, and how are they connecting to Unidos Together?
Yeah, of course. So we at NGL Collective, we owe our livelihoods to the Latinx community. It's something we honor every day, the way we approach our audience, and of course the way we work with our advertiser partners. So in keeping with that philosophy, we wanted to do a little something extra to give back to the community that gives us so much. Claudia, as you mentioned, most of you are aware that NGL took over Hispanicize last year, which is the leading event of its kind for content creators, entrepreneurs, and those in the media, marketing, and entertainment space looking to engage that community. But we also acquired two other great brands. One was called Hispanic Kitchen, the other Latina Moms. And the three of those in aggregate have over 1 million followers across NGL's social platform. So with that as the foundation, we recently launched hashtag Unidos Together. It's a special initiative leveraging NGL's house of brands set to entertain, inform, inspire, and offer a helping hand to those in our community who need it most. So our intention is to provide easy access to in-culture content for people to enjoy while sheltering in place across kids and family, food and cooking, health and wellness, entertainment, business and resources, and inspiration. All of it can easily be accessed at unidostogether.com and across our various social media handles. So there's many facets to this program, as I'm stating here. But if you want to check out some live streaming content, we have celebrity chefs, we have financial advisors, we have Latina mompreneurs, health and wellness experts. We even have a resident DJ spinning on our Instagram this Friday. So we really have a lot going on, and we're hoping that it's making a little bit of a difference in this uncertain time.
David, and you launched, and I would love to actually talk about John Leguizamo and how, like how you started as a business partner with him. I think that one of the most referenced pieces of content for someone like me that I'm, like as a newcomer, and everybody was like, oh, you want to understand Hispanic issues, you have to watch Latin History for Morons.
Yeah.
And that was the first, I remember vividly watching it for the second time with a notebook, trying to take note of all the data and all the insights that were there historically. Like trying to make sure that I was like, why don't I have this in a textbook? Where do I find this data? Like as a marketer myself, being presented in such a light and fun way, but with such a like so depth and profound. So talk to us before going into Unidos Together and the Hispanic Size Hangouts and all the universe of things. Tell us a little bit more about like how did you start this partnership with John Leguizamo, and how, like tell us about John Leguizamo altogether.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So I know we only have 20 minutes, guys. Sorry, there's a much longer version of this story, but the short version is, for those of you who have known me for a few years, back in the early 2000s, in the dot-com boom, if you will, if we can call it that, I was able to get John to become a partner and spokesperson for pre-Facebook. We launched a social platform called icaramba.com, like letter I, caramba, get it? iCaramba later evolved into a company called Latcom that we sold in 2006. And along that journey, we did a lot of work with John around his one-man shows. He's had, I think, 6 one-man shows. We've worked with brands. We've produced all sorts of content. And then when I launched NGL Collective at this point, this goes back about maybe 9 years, John, again, was gracious enough to join us on this journey. And he's really become a friend at this point. And his whole philosophy about how he approaches his life and his art really is woven into the fabric of what NGL Collective is all about, putting the community first and really, really, doing everything we can to give back to that community and honor that community. So he's been an unbelievable partner. And I'll mention, we also have a documentary. It's called John Leguizamo's Road to Broadway. It was on PBS as a great performance for those of your friends, fans of PBS. So it gives you an even more detailed look behind the scenes of his recent show, Latin History for Morons. And we might have something else special coming up that builds upon it even further. John is even thinking about writing a textbook, Claudia, if you can believe this, based on all of his research. He's really a student of all of this, and what he's learned, he wants to share, in any way possible. So it's an exciting time to have him on our team. We couldn't be any more proud of him.
No, not only that, but I think that we all should collectively support having more understanding from the very beginning of, like schooling kids about like the importance and the contributions of Hispanics all together. So I think that I have, I want to go straight into, yes, a textbook is sorely needed. Let's work on that. So David, like part of what we love about you, you're part of the Hispanic Star Alliance. You've been helping us getting influencers to everything that we're doing. Again, the Hispanic Star as a symbol to unify us, as a collective platform to showcase the Hispanic contributions, pretty much aligned with Unidos Together, I would say. So talk about the Hispanic Size Hangout, the podcast shows, the conversations, what kind of conversations, how can we access them? And then you also mentioned the studios, the NGL Live and Insight. So package what you're doing there, and how can actually professionals and others access that?
It's a lot to unpack, but I'm happy to do it, Claudia. So first and foremost, by the way, I should say, and Claudia was one of our guests on Hispanicize Hangout, which we'll talk about in a second. But one of the themes that we talked about was how Claudia and her organization completely pivoted the Hispanic Star Initiative. So kudos to you. Everyone, we're out here sort of making it up as we go along and pivoting as we need to. And it was really tremendous what you were able to do. And I applaud you. And I couldn't, again, be any prouder to be supporting that. One of the ways we're supporting that is through a show we have that we recently launched exclusively for our Hispanicize audience. It's a vodcast. It's called Hispanicize Hangout. It features all of the great content that you're used to at Hispanicize, albeit, of course, in a virtual setting, featuring interviews with top influencers, celebrities, entrepreneurs, executives such as yourself across Latinx media marketing and entertainment. So there's two versions of the show. There's the entertainment edition. It's hosted by popular TV and radio personality and Tecla Award winner. That's like the Latinx Webby, so that for those of you who don't know the Teclas. Her name is Jessica Flores. You can check her out at Yo Jessica Flores on Instagram and elsewhere. And then the other host is LA TV's own Enrique Sapene. He's at Enrique Sapene on Instagram. So they're hosting the entertainment edition, and I'm hosting the business edition. So on the entertainment edition, shocker, our first episode was John Leguizamo. We also have influencers, people like Mexican Ways, for those of you who are fans of the Mexican Ways, Julissa Bermudez. We had Denai Garcia on the show. She's the star of Fear the Walking Dead. Today we're recording one with the stars of the CW's Dynasty, Rafael de la Fuente and Daniela Alonso. And on the business side, as I said, Claudia, you were one of my first guests. I couldn't have been prouder. I also had Luis Miguel from Alma, Stephen Wolf and Susie Jaramillo. Shout out to Encantos Media. And just yesterday, this is going to come out in about a week, I had an amazing roundtable with Gonzalo Delfa, Lisa Torres, and Karina Dobaro from Group M Publicis and Horizon. So we're basically putting out 2 to 3 of these per week. They're pre-recorded at the moment. We're definitely going to be doing some live ones like this. And we're really excited about this as a platform. It was something we were actually planning pre-pandemic, but we've pivoted it to be a vodcast. We thought it could be a podcast at first. And all of this around Unidos Together, really, it's just our sincere hope that in some ways it brings a sense of inspiration about the collective power of the Latinx community and what we can achieve together, you know, no matter what obstacles the world presents us, and there are many. So again, kudos to you, and in some small way, you know, Unidos Together is our contribution from NGL.
And that's fantastic. And in a way, you know, like if for those organizations that are listening, and I think that there are a couple of questions here, how can a professional reach out to share Unidos Together? How can people reach out, share the content? How do we make sure that we, you know, like this is Hispanic power and the contributions of Hispanics and our role models? We just have to make sure that together we raise the volume all together. Yeah. So how can we be part of that?
There are so many hashtags out there, but to add another one, for those of you who like to hashtag, please, you know, tag us. Unidos Together is the hashtag. You can check it out at unidostogether.com. You know, for those of you who have a pen and paper or taking notes, HispanicKitchen.com is one of our outlets. Latina Moms, all of them have social handles, and then of course through NGL Collective on LinkedIn. And Hispanicize, of course, let me mention.
And David, what are the insights, you know, like what are the insights that you can share with us? What's going to change after COVID? What are the, you know, we hear a number of things that the world will not be what it is, what it was before COVID, that cooking in a family, traditions, rituals will be more important. We understand that, you know, like the values of our community as well will be the ones that, you know, like, will probably be more prevalent for America as a whole. You have NGL Insights. What insights have you learned in this time? What have you learned in the conversations about behavioral change and what, you know, brands and people need to be thinking about moving forward?
Yeah, we're very dialed into our consumer through, you know, of course, the NGL Social Influencer Network. And of course, all of the conversations we're having with brands and just what we ourselves are experiencing. Thank you for mentioning NGL Insights. It's actually something we're really excited about. And we just announced the launch of it today in partnership with our friends from Think Now and Think Now Connect, which is a division of Think Now, the leading independent multicultural tech-driven research and insights company. So as we like to say, NGL Insights is all about going beyond impressions to make real and meaningful consumer connections, which right now couldn't be any more important to be dialed in, you know, to connecting with the consumer in a meaningful way. So to give you a little bit of background, the tech-driven platform that we have, it provides advertisers cultural insights rooted in over 1.5 million first-party data points gathered across thousands of multicultural surveys. What we then do at NGL is we augment that by insights that we gather across our massive Hispanicized social influencer network of thousands. Ultimately, what this yields is a very forensic multicultural consumer data set around which multidimensional Latinx, we call them personas, commonly used term, it can be created with over 1,000 consumer attributes. So long story short, when you combine all of these, the sum of the parts, the tech and what we're able to do through our social influencer network, NGL Insights really represents a very exciting strategic insights tool for the Latinx space at a time when having a clear, thoughtful, and on-point consumer message that resonates on a human level, got to emphasize that, has never been more important. And so it's something we've always done at NGL, offer insights, but now we're sort of formalizing it under this umbrella called NGL Insights in conjunction with Think Now. If you want to learn more about it, at nglcollective.com, you could click on advertisers and then NGL Insights, and there's a whole section about it. But we're super excited about this announcement, Claudia.
Talk about personas. I mean, like, just like I'm thinking about when you mentioned that. I haven't heard that term in a bit, but okay. I recall in those good days where gender was sorting out, you know, like when we started having those conversations about gender, when we moved the conversation from feminism to gender discussions or, you know, gender equality, that I don't even remember, I think I was working for the refugee agency or something, and they called a group of people to start giving insights to create personas of what kind of person would buy a gender friendly car. So it was Volvo at that time. And, you know, like me from an NGO, completely thinking and looking at data and creating that persona. The name of the person, Volvo is a Swedish company. So the name of the person was Monica, I remember so well. And Monica, everything she cared about was space for her car, space for the supermarket, space for, you know, like her, whatever, like equipment, the kids stuff and so on. So the car that was gender inspired, you know, like created this persona called Monica. We could actually draw her exactly. And I remember saying like, no, she's not blonde, she has brown hair, these kind of things. Anyway, talk to us about the persona that will come out of like a consumer, like a persona Latino after COVID.
Yeah, I mean, so as I said, it's demographic and psychographic information rooted in over 1.5 million first-party data points gathered across thousands of surveys, and all this is, of course, then mechanized, you know, in a way that's actionable. And in the case of NGL, we're able to put out pieces of creative and test it, leveraging more technology. We have our own proprietary social AI technology that gets extremely forensic and that you're able to see what's connecting and what's not and essentially optimize in real time. So like what you did, I'll say the old school way has become much more mechanized and tech driven and optimizable. And the answer is there is no one answer to what it looks like after this. Everyone has very personalized experiences. And as I said, these personas can be created with over 1,000 consumer attributes. Can you imagine? But in today's world, we can get that forensic. So these are challenging times, but you know, times where we're learning a lot about each other and the way we're interacting with brands and utilizing all these different platforms. And the market has really shifted and is more fragmented than ever. So having a tool like this that, you know, has qualitative, quantitative, driven by technology and AI is really the best way to stay connected with this consumer in a way that you can really connect on a one-to-one basis.
Which brands are doing it right? How are brands actually stepping up in your eyes to, you know, like to deal with this situation? And do brands care more about the Hispanic community?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I'm not going to name any specific brands, but I've seen some really cool stuff going on out there. You know, in our community, there's definitely less, you know, that's in language, I'll say. There's a lot more, I think you might have pointed out, or in my conversation with Luis Miguel the other day, going on in the general market. But, you know, definitely there's obviously a halo effect of what those brands are doing. A lot of, you know, people in our market are bilingual and bicultural. I'd love to see more stuff being done in Spanish, to be honest with you, as that still represents a huge component of what comprises the Latinx community here in America. But, you know, putting purpose over just selling yourself, right? Making a more meaningful connection. I can't put it as eloquently as Luis Miguel did. He's got all his, his sayings about how he says it, but it's pretty straightforward. You don't want to just be pushy and put your brand in front of somebody, buy me, buy me. You have to be there in good times and bad and show that you really appreciate them and understand them and connect emotionally with them. And right now people don't want to be pushed on. They want to be cradled, supported, and connected with in a more meaningful way. So the ones who are really doing that and who have pivoted, who have the ability to pivot, those to me are the ones who are doing the best job.
But you, David, have you have such a power having those 1 million people through your Latina moms, the Hispanic kitchen, the celebrities, all the influencers you have. I hope that we can together have a common goal, the common goal of Hispanics being seen, heard, and valued. And I think that adding everyone, and if that is the case, if we have learned that from 117 brands, according to AIM, with data that Nielsen provided, 117 brands that have been active on COVID-19 messaging, only 13 of them were intentionally targeting Hispanics, and only 13, and only a couple of them were in language. I think that ideally, with the power you have, with the collective power that we can create, we can make sure that that we can have together raise our voice and say, corporate American brands, this is a time in which we need you more than ever, so that we can, we can hear our voices and we can be seen and represented in camera and behind camera in language for all of us, with investment and with more voice.
It's just so important, Claudia. I know you and many other organizations are out there, of course, talking about the disproportionate effect that COVID has had on our community. And of course you should be doing that. Of course we need to draw attention to that. I would draw equal attention to the fact that our community is resilient. And actually, I know you have, talking about being on the front lines, essentially propping up the American economy in many ways. If the Latino community is not doing well economically, America is not doing well economically. So don't marginalize us. Don't think that we're any weaker than anyone else. As a matter of fact, we're born out of resiliency. And I'm super optimistic about how we're going to come back from this. And it's essential that we do. And it's essential that brands continue to support this community and those who work in this community. And so I just want to emphasize that as much as anything, because I know it's a difficult time and we're all focused on the emergency that we're dealing with, but we've got to inject a dose of optimism and the fact that, we are going to bounce back. If anything, the Latinx community has the ability to bounce back quicker and is critical to the recovery.
Yeah, we're disproportionately affected, but we're also disproportionately equipped. And I hope that you, NGL, John Leguizamo, unidos together, we can all join forces for all your audiences, for all your influencers, all your Latina moms, all your chefs, celebrity chefs, so that we can together go and knock the door of corporate America and say, hi, this is a time in which we need you to step up. This is good for everybody. And that we can also together take a couple of actions so that we can raise awareness at the national level. Invitation for David Chitel, NGL, John Leguizamo to join forces for 1 day of action, May 21, so that we can take action, whatever action we can take to favor Hispanics that have been affected by COVID. Because again, we need to make sure that we raise the volume of that need, but we also make sure that we understand that we're disproportionately equipped and we can get out of this one. Moving from fear to action. David Chitel, thank you so very much for being with us. I would like to give you the last message for all the audience, or how to reach you, how to connect, a last message for everyone.
Yeah, so Claudia, thank you for having me. Thank you. Don't know how many people are watching this live or recorded, but appreciate your interest in learning more about what we're doing at NGL, but collectively as a community. I did want to mention, I didn't touch upon it earlier, we also are rolling out something called NGL Virtual Studio. So when the quarantine came upon us, we huddled up and we said, what can we do while sheltering in place to pivot, what we normally do in the space of producing content? Because brands, this is the business we're in, are looking to stay connected. So think fully produced custom live takeover events, custom content using stock footage and animation if we can't shoot live, built for social micro content, sponsorable original content like we talked about, Hispanicized Hangout, gamified virtual experiences, even connecting the on and offline product experience by putting products in influencers' hands and amplifying it. So for brands, that's my message, stay connected, pivot, and leverage what, you know, this situation has presented us, albeit in a virtual way, as we're trying to do at NGL Collective. And for those of you, just to put a button on this, who might be wondering, what about Hispanicize that we talked about earlier, which, as you know, is a live event. I'll tease that NGL is in our entire team, we're dreaming up the best possible virtual version of Hispanicize, and we'll be making some announcements soon. So as an end cap, I'll just say thank you to everybody. I hope you're safe and healthy and powering through this. Here in New York, I think we hopefully have only a couple more weeks before we enter legitimately phase 1 of going back into society, which I look forward to doing. And anything we at NGL can do to support you, please let us know. We have a lot going on here, and hopefully you do too. And together, we will definitely get through this and come out stronger. So thank you very much again.
Thank you so much, David Chitel, CEO and founder of NGL Collective. Thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow.